There's been a bit of a divide within the Republican Party. You have the old guard, the traditional Republicans who loved some of the Bush era policies, things like FISA, which was a program that allowed for the feds to spy on foreigners abroad, but also spy on American citizens as well because of some loopholes in how that law worked. Now, I remember Democrats being real upset about it. I remember the Democratic Party really criticizing the Bush administration over these FISA laws. Obama came in, did nothing about it. Biden's done nothing about it. Donald Trump, though, just succeeded in getting the Republican Party in the House to crush the extension of that law. Now, let me give you the details. Apparently, Trump had urged House Republicans, according to CNN, to reject the reauthorization of the law known as FISA ahead of the key procedural vote today, Wednesday, adding to headaches for GOP leaders who have struggled to build support for the legislation, including House Speaker Mike Johnson. House Speaker Mike Johnson might suck up to Trump, but he's really more representative of the old guard, the traditional conservative Republicans who dominated the Republican Party prior to the MAGA era. So he wanted to reauthorize FISA, and so did his buddies in the House. But there's a growing group of Republicans, and Donald Trump happens to be one of them, who were not on board with the reauthorization of FISA. In fact, Trump wrote on social media, Truth Social, of course, kill FISA. The tally, by the way, ended up being 193 to 228 with 19 Republicans bucking House GOP leadership and voting with Democrats to sink the procedural vote and take down a rule to govern debate on the reauthorization bill, as well as several other bills, and that's according to reporting by CNN. Among the Republicans who were against reauthorizing FISA were Republican Representative Matt Gaetz. He had said that he would vote against the procedural vote. Additionally, Representative Anna Paulina Luna wrote on X, quote, "We are killing FISA," in response to Trump's Truth Social post, and Tennessee GOP Representative Tim Burchett, who told CNN that he would be voting no on the rule. When told that he would kill it, that him voting no on the rule would kill it, he said, "Good." Now, let's get into the details of what FISA is, okay? Because it has been a controversial law for quite some time now, and I'm shocked to hear that it's Republicans who managed to kill it. So the law as it stands allows US intelligence or the US intelligence community to collect the communications records of foreign persons based overseas, but, and this is where the contention lies, but it also allows the FBI to search the data that it collects on Americans in what critics have called a backdoor search. So it's essentially a law that allowed for the federal government to spy on American citizens. And they were also able to do so without the necessary probable cause or warrants to do so. Critics say that loopholes allow the FBI to search the data it collects on Americans as opposed to foreign adversaries without proper justification. And so one major sticking point is whether the FBI should be required to obtain a warrant before spying on Americans. And we've been arguing here at TYT since the Bush era that there absolutely should be a warrant. There should be probable cause, and a judge should sign off on allowing the feds to spy on American citizens. This is a no-brainer. This is a no-brainer. American citizens should not be surveilled by the federal government without a warrant. There should be a reason, okay, a national security reason for why the FBI or anyone in the national intelligence community should be spying on Americans. Now, why did Trump do this? Did Trump do this because he's genuinely concerned about Americans? Is it because he doesn't want Americans to be surveilled? No, I would venture to say that he cares less about that. But Trump cares a lot about himself, we know that. And so FISA was used to spy on one of his own. He didn't like that. And because he didn't like that, he told the GOP to crush the reauthorization of FISA. So FISA became a high profile political target of conservative Republicans After it became known that a different section of FISA was inappropriately used to surveil Trump 2016 campaign aide Carter Page. So that's the motivating factor here for Trump. He didn't like how FISA was used against him, which is why he wants the GOP, and he succeeded in getting the GOP to scrap the reauthorization of this surveillance law that's, again, been around for quite some time now. And I think a good sign is who's really upset about this bill being killed. Bill Barr happens to be one of them. Bill Barr says, I think it's a travesty and reckless. We want the federal government to be able to spy on American citizens without a warrant. Okay, this is a travesty. I disagree. I don't think this is a travesty. I think that if someone who is an American citizen poses a national security threat, if there is probable cause, if there is reason to believe that that American is engaged in nefarious activity, and there is some interest by the intelligence community to spy on that individual, they should be able to make their case before a judge and secure a warrant before surveillance is carried out. That's what I believe. And that is what the Democratic Party overall believed back during the Bush era when FISA was being used to spy on Americans abroad. And when we heard news stories and read news stories about members of the intelligence community spying in on American citizens as they were, having phone sex or engaging in intimate conversations with their loved ones. It was absolutely disgusting. And so the real test here for the Democratic Party is how they're gonna respond to this. Because in my opinion, this is good news. This is definitely good news. FISA has been a problem for a long time. And are they going to switch to being in favor of FISA? Are they gonna switch to being in favor of surveilling American citizens because Trump is now against FISA? I don't know, we'll see. But I'm really hoping that their political ideology is actually grounded in principles rather than tribal partisan politics. Now, you might need a different version of this surveillance law in order to allow for the intelligence community to, spy in on, foreign threats to American national security. We need to look into that and see if there's some issues with, having this vacuum when it comes to FISA not being reauthorized. I care less about that. I care a lot more about Americans, not being surveilled by our federal government. So we'll see how it all plays out. But I think that overall, for now, based on what we know about Republicans crushing this reauthorization, it seems to be good news. And again, if the FBI wants to spy on Americans, they should get a warrant and they should be able to make their case for why it's important to be able to surveil them. Otherwise, I don't think it makes any sense to have the government keeping an eye on all of us through loopholes in the FISA law that should have been either repealed entirely or reformed many, many years ago. So just wanted to bring attention to that. Love seeing Bill Barr get real feisty and upset about it. They just love the idea of that increased federal government power, allowing for the feds to, keep an eye on every single one of us without a warrant. It's absolutely absurd. I totally disagree with it. And I love the fact that because of his own selfishness in this case, I think most Americans have won from what Trump has done here.
If you enjoyed this video, that's because of our members. They make us independent, they make us strong, and they make us honest. Become a member today by hitting the join button below.